Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, coming at you live talking about episode 6 of the anime series Princess Principal. And this was actually a somewhat bittersweet episode, I thought, very much revolving around the history, the character history of Dorothy, and finding out that that was actually her mother's name, that her mother had, run out on she and her father was very abusive after losing his hand, and just sliding down that slippery slope of alcoholism and all this kind of stuff, destructivism, because of what was stolen away from him and how she had to suffer at his hand for so long before she herself had gotten out of that lifestyle, then to be reunited with him on this mission to find a corpse that's going to be containing a hidden message because of the spy lifestyle she now leads. There was a lot of gravitas, a lot of great characterization and depth to it. Seeing she and Beatrice coming closer and closer together as a result of this as well, because of how they could kind of share in such a hostile home environment in their former lives. Her own father having done experiments on her, leading to that mechanism, that vocoder being in her neck, and everything like that. I mean, it was really palpable, the tension there. I was actually getting fairly upset watching it, for things that I myself could relate to with my biological father and everything like that. I was raised by my stepdad, who was really sort of my dad. And so the idea of somebody in your life being dismissive and abusive and trying to escape from that, I could relate to all of that. And it just really, it was like, as an empath as well, it was really speaking to that side of myself where it was just disappointing, because once you become sort of involved in the lives of these characters, and these characters all, each and every one of them, even though we don't know a whole lot about them, as we're finding more and more out about them, as they're finding things out about each other, they become endearing to you, and so you care for them, you grow to care for them, and you don't want to see them having to be so victimized and things like that. So I felt very much for Dorothy in this, and it was just an interesting scenario. And I kind of knew 3/4 of the way through the episode where it was probably going to end up going, as far as her father, meeting his end and everything like that, after a somewhat arguable having made amends and such like that, because of course he was thinking about the money that he would get if he had given this message. He was kind of like an insider by one of the right hand ladies of the Duke of Normandy and all this kind of stuff, to sneak that information to her. And I do have to wonder, because Dorothy was all about copying the message, but then giving the message to her father to, air quotes, help him, if she hasn't now hindered their whole side of things. If that message, if she didn't alter the message in any way, now it's in the hands of the people who it wasn't supposed to be put into the hands of. So is she going to become untrustworthy? Is there going to be a fallout resultant from this? I don't know. The entire sort of end game of the episode, where she and Beatrice are waiting in the pub where her father told her to meet up with him later, because he's thinking he's going to start a brand new life, begin anew with money and riches and wealth, and he can buy his daughter clothes, and they can both be walking down the street as he describes, and he can be the proud father and everything like that, all that stuff, which made it that much more bittersweet. But I kind of saw it coming that, well, that's not going to happen. These people aren't trustworthy. They aren't honorable or honest in any way, shape, or form. You're not coming out of this alive. And in fact, the fact that he brought up that he has a daughter, well, now they're going to be maybe looking for her as well. But because they were working in the morgue, I had these visions of, they're probably going to, punctuate the fact that he has been killed by showing his body, showing up at the morgue. I had been under the assumption that maybe she'd be waiting there for him to come back, and she would uncover his body, and that's how it would end. But it didn't quite end that way. It's much more uncertain for her as to her father's fate, thinking that he probably just ran off again, or he lied about meeting them or whatever like that, because of the guys that had taken it for granted he was going to pimp out his own daughter to them for the money he owed them and all this stuff. And it kind of reminded me of the baptism scene in the one Godfather movie, where Michael Corleone is standing there having his nephew baptized or whatever it is, and all the while this very solemn, very sort of honorable thing is going on. You have it interspersed with scenes, cutaways of all the gangsters in gangland that have ever gone up against the Corleone family being killed off one after the other gruesomely, and all this kind of stuff shockingly. And so there was some level of that going on toward the end of the episode, where you had Beatrice starting to sing the song in her father's voice and then singing it in her own voice, the song that she was humming earlier in the episode, which we find is a song that she and her father used to sing together, and how much that meant to her and everything. And so you had this beautiful melodic sequence where it coincided with his ill-fated, future basically being ended right then and there, being wheeled in, and having the people who worked alongside him realizing, oh, this is him. And now arguably Dorothy, we end it sort of without a presumption one way or the other as to whether she might figure this out, or might find out about it, or she might go back and learn what happened to him. But, like I say, she may have jeopardized the very mission that she was there to conduct, because if she did not, if she only transcribed the message, well, weren't they supposed to, stop that message from being delivered? Weren't they supposed to keep their hands on it and spirit it away? And that would have meant sacrificing her father knowingly, and she couldn't be brought to that, but she still wanted to help him and make his life better for all the hardships that had occurred between them at his own hand and everything like that. She still wanted to be there for him, try to give him a better life. And it's just, it sucks that it didn't happen that way. It didn't play out that way. And I think there's a level of it being realistic for that. I mean, this guy, unfortunately, because of his drunkenness and his, predisposition to rage outbursts and all these things, and blaming everything else for his own faults and whatever like that, you could say he was blinded. He was blinded by avarice, as well as all of the wrongdoings and hardships he'd suffered and accrued. And he just had this idea that, well, this is my out. This is the thing that's going to save me and my daughter when she is suddenly shoved back into his life, But I have to wonder if that's not going to garner the suspicion of the Duke of Normandy's people. Well, why did this daughter just come out of nowhere all of a sudden? And, but she knows about the message, according to the father and everything like that. So I think, a lot more bad could end up being a fallout from this. I don't know. But it was really an emotional episode for me, and sort of a down note episode, very bittersweet, as I say. And what can you say beyond that? I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of this particular episode of Princess Principal, if you've seen it, as well if you enjoyed it, if you found it to be as emotional or down note as I said, bittersweet as I said, and if not, why not? Let me know in the comments below. Love having that conversation. Otherwise, that'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.